What's up, people? I am back for another. Hold on. Let me fix the camera. What's up, people? I am back for another video. Today, I was gonna do the werewolf and the vampire list, but I have decided I think that makes more sense to just save that for October. So I can do that. I can do the zombie one, so I can just do all three. It makes more sense just to save it, but I have the list made. So maybe I'll do the werewolf one. I might just drop that one because it's only six, but the other two I might just save for later. Makes more sense. But today, I want to talk about, because earlier this week, we got some news about Scream 7. So I figured, since I do love the Scream movies, and that's just one of my favorite franchises. Obviously, to me, the Scream franchise ends at 4, because I really despise 5, and I think in subsequent, in a way, it ruined 6. I think 6 is, if they had released that first, I would have been okay with this new trilogy, but I don't, but what they're doing here, I don't hate the idea of bringing Sydney, and she has a new family, she has kids. I'm okay with that. The only thing I question is, when were these kids? That's my only thing, unless I'm hoping what they're gonna do is ignore 5 and maybe, because if you do that, you can explain the time, because it has been a while since we've had Scream 4. Like, let's be real, it's 2011. There's enough time for her to have kids if you ignore 5, right? But I they announced this week they're bringing Roman back, so I wanted to talk about that, and then they're bringing Stu back, so we're gonna talk about both those things. So I wanted to do a video, do that, and then tomorrow I do plan on doing one of the vampire movies that is gonna be on the list for my favorite vampire movies, John Carpenter's Vampires. I figured since I put that on the list, it kind of made me want to rewatch that, so why not do that in a video? So, but before that, this was a fresh watch. I just got done watching Haywire, my friends on Discord, and I couldn't do a whole review on this because this movie is okay. I'm gonna say, I know a lot of people like this movie. A lot of people hype this movie up, partially because Gina Carano's in it, and I like Gina Carano. But I am sorry, this movie was not good. It was very nonsensical. It clearly felt like they were working around the action scenes. The action scenes came first. The plot came second, to the where you didn't really get the actual plot until the very fucking end. And it's not even that good. I felt like a lot of it was nonsensical. The music that they play in the movie is almost very out of place. I will preface by saying this. I was watching T2 in the background, but I was still very much paying attention while I was watching that in the background. So that says a lot, because T2 is iconic, but I can still try to pay attention to this movie. But it wasn't just me. All three, because I was watching with two other friends, were all like, okay, what is going on? We're like, there was a point where we were like an hour in, and we are just like, what the fuck's happening? And then we get the plot at the very end. I have never seen a movie do that. Not that other than another movie I could think of. You get a reveal in the end, but generally, even with the reveal, you still know what the plot is. The fight scenes are cool, I'll admit. They're gritty and hard hitting, but it's like clearly the story was built around it. And it got nonsensical at a point where I'm like, okay, what is happening? And I like Steven Soderbergh, but it had a big cast, but it's clearly like it felt like they were relying on the big cast, and they were, even like the villain with Ewan McGregor. He's not in it a lot. And honestly, the ultimate villain really is Antonio Banderas, and it just kind of ends. It doesn't show her killing him, and I'm like, for me, if you're gonna show the hero or protagonist try to get the big villain, I want to see that. But when you just cut it right when she shows up at him, I think that's kind of weak. I think that's like a waste of a film. Like it, yeah. So I was thinking maybe I will review this sometime this week. Nah, I'm just gonna do a mini review of this because this isn't like worth doing a whole video on. But it's a 4 out of 10 movie. It's nonsensical. You don't get the plot until the last hour. I think even Michael Fassbender's in this movie, and he's wasted. You have a cool fight scene, but that's all he was there for. Like, the gist, like, is basically she's turned on by the people she works with, but that's it. And they're trying to frame her for a murder, but that's kind of all we got. Like, until, like, you get the real plot in the very end. And I think that, to me, is not, that's not how you make a movie. You don't drop the plot at the very fucking end. I think that's not good filmmaking. And for me, I'm an action. With action movies, I'm very forgiving. Give me cool action. The plot, I'm not saying necessarily it doesn't need to make sense, but it needs, if you can just give me a basic plot, fine. It's like, even like John Wick, very simple plot, but it works because it's everything around it works. This doesn't, man. So for me, this is a bad movie. So I guess this is a little bit of a review, kind of, but I wanted to talk about this movie since I just watched it. Um, Other than that, let's get to the actual point. So they just this week revealed, because Scream 7 they have announced a couple years ago, and the big thing is they were selling, oh, we're bringing Sydney back. Here's my problem uh, with this movie. I don't like the idea that they're bringing Roman back. It doesn't make sense, and I get it. It's for flashbacks because that's probably what they're gonna do. But it doesn't. One, it really doesn't make sense because him and Sydney, unless they're gonna retroactively add, maybe they'll show. I don't know if you know what I just thought about something. Maybe they'll cast an actress to play Mrs. Prescott, and they'll show her because Roman going. Maybe they'll bring him back there. But Scott Fowler, I think is her name. Is his name is um he's a bit old now. And I like Roman, and I like Scream 3. I'm one of the few that like Scream 3. I don't need you know who need to bring him back. I think you should have just gone forward. I said it ad nauseum that for me, Scream just needed to go forward. You never needed to bring Sydney back or anything. I've always thought you should have just gone forward with new characters in Woodsboro. I really think you could have did that. The events of the first four films still happen. Obviously, I've talked about that ad nauseum. But if you're even with the like you want to do a movie about Sydney, I don't need a callback to Rome. Maybe you mention him by name, but he's dead. He got shot in the face. Do we really need to bring him back? That's a not that to me sounds nonsensical. I know I'm saying that a lot, but it really sounds like. And Stu, here's the thing with Stu. They have always wanted to bring Stu back because one of the ideas for Scream 3 was that Stu was behind the series of the new murders, and it was going to be in Woodsboro, and it was going to do all this, but obviously Columbine happened, and unfortunately because of that, they had to change the movie. They had to, because Columbine happened while they were filming it, so unfortunately they had to change it. I understand a tragedy happened, but the way I see it, I'll just say I've never liked the idea of Stu coming back. I've always felt like he died. He was losing blood. He got stabbed multiple times by Billy. So he was already bleeding a lot. He even mentions, like, I'm feeling woozy and stuff like that. And he even says, I'm dying here. Like, and then he gets a TV. Keep in mind, this was a 90s tube TV. Like, those were heavy as fuck. So he was already bleeding out, and he just got a TV thrown on him. I always thought he died. And the way I see it, Scream goes to a degree goes for realism. Like it's always I always saw it as like the more realistic franchise. And these movies, horror movies like Halloween and all this stuff are supposed to be like actual movies within this universe, like in ours. So the idea of Stu coming back is just, it'd be different. Okay, at least if they did it in 3, it would have been 4 years later. It's like, all right. But now that why is he reappearing almost 30 years later? Or even 30 years later? Because by the time this comes out, I think it's supposed to be 2026. So a year later. So it would have been 30 years since the first Scream. Why is he showing up now? Where has he been for 30 years? To me, it just complicates things. And I just don't like the idea of bringing Stu back. It just feels this one's now really going to really lean into member berries because of the whole Melissa Barrera thing and how that fell out. So we're just going to really lean into nostalgia. And I have a feeling they're going to bring Dewey back. Even if, okay, the idea of them retconning 5 and 6 is good. I don't necessarily think we need another movie. And it just feels like you're doing what we should have did in the 5th one, but that's it. And I don't think you need to do that. But anyway, I don't want this video to go too long. Like all I really wanted to go off was like what bringing Stu and Roman back is a bad idea. This movie is sounding like a clusterfuck. I'm still gonna watch it. I'm not gonna see it in theaters, but I'll find a way. But I wanted to talk about this a little bit. I know this is a bit of a shorter video, but it's like I didn't think this was gonna be that long of a video anyway, so just wanted to wrap it here. Give my thoughts about it really quick, and that's about it. But other than that, guys, Pin Down Podcast tomorrow. We'll post Royal Rumble, and we are gonna vent about that because I have a lot to say about the Rumble tomorrow and Raw. But other than that, subscribe to Pin Down Podcast. Spotify link will be in the description. Other than that, I will be talking to y'all later.